So I'd like to start off this video by thanking everyone who corrected me on the mistakes I made in the Doom Virgin video. And for those who haven't seen the video, you should check it out and see how terribly inaccurate I was in both gameplay and information wise. But I read the comments and I did some research, and here is what I have learned and corrected. Doom 1 did not have crosshairs, so I had that turned off during my next playthroughs. Die Flesh Consume levels actually came out a year after Doom was released, whereas Doom 2 came out 10 months after Doom. The shotgun in Doom is not the super shotgun. I always heard the term super shotgun mentioned and thought that applied to this gun as well. I learned about GZ Doom, which helped make the experience better and gave me better graphics. Also, that when the game first came out, people actually played it without the mouse. They actually just used keyboard only. Which, if you beat the game like this, I just have respect for your skills. But using mouse was an option according to some people who claimed it was in the manuals. So I went back to Doom with the new knowledge and the upgrades that I downloaded, and also decided to try it on a higher difficulty for this game. And you're wondering how that affected my experience. Oh, you're just a bunch of sadists who want to watch me suffer, and I love you for it. This was a completely new experience I felt, and I was wanting more. It's harder, but it's a more satisfying kind of harder. Now that I have knowledge of the maps and more experience with the movement at higher speeds, I just want more. Is this what an addiction feels like? Now, I didn't spend too long in this though. I kept dying too often and I needed to get started on the Doom 2 video, but bloody hell, you can bet I will be coming back to this in my free time. And now on to Doom 2. After the great success Doom had, id Software wanted to keep the momentum flowing and started working on Doom 2. After learning the limitations of the software they were using at the time, they were able to add more levels to the game that were bigger and had a lot more enemies added to these levels. I mean, just look at this. They were also able to add some more demons to the roster. They had some loved and others hated, and for good reasons. And it didn't take id Software long to make the game either, only 10 months in fact, and then would release the Die Flesh Consume levels for Doom 1 just a few months after Doom 2's release. Now, Doom 2 was received very well and had been considered one of the greatest games ever created, which is believable due to how much of an influence this game has had on creating other games that came after it. The game has sold over 1.8 million copies and has made over $74 million in revenue in just the US alone. And while doing research for this video, I came across a statement that John Romero had the games on original floppy disk and sold them for over $3,000. Hot damn, I am jealous. Now, the gameplay for Doom is the same as it was for Doom 1, but with a few changes. During my playthrough, I noticed that when you die, you don't start off at the beginning of the level with just your fist and your pistol. You keep everything you started... Ooh, excuse me. You keep everything that you brought into the level with you and restart that way. If you came in with 3 weapons, you restart with 3 weapons. If you came in with 100 ammo, you restart with 100 ammo. And the same can be said for your armor and health percentage as well. I was actually happy for this because in this playthrough, I was playing on Ultra Violence. That's mostly because people in the comments for the other Doom video recommended that for a better Doom experience, I should wake up and choose Ultra Violence. So I did. But before we start talking about my experience with the game, let's talk about some of the changes that have been made to the game. Starting with the level designs. The levels are much bigger than they were in the original Doom. Some of the maps have platforming now, which is part of the way of getting around in those levels. Which worked out in my opinion, though most levels it didn't work out as well, and I will talk about that later on in the video. However, the main thing that makes the bigger levels so satisfying is now that you have way more room for movement. I had my settings set to always run, and at these speeds you need all that room to work out your evasive skills. They did still keep close quarters combat as a gameplay element, which I for one am really glad they did, cause you can still feel the high level of tension in the air when going around corners, which makes every encounter a real clincher, especially when you are low on ammo and or health. Now, half the enemies are still the same as they were before. You still have your hit scanners, the zombie man, shotgun guy, and the spider mastermind. Yep, the boss of the last game is now walking about in some levels, so have fun with that. And the melee only enemies making their returns are the pinkies, specters, and unfortunately lost souls. Then finally you have your projectile users, the cacodemons, imps, barons of hell, and the cyber demon. All of them have returned and have brought a few new friends along with them in order to try to rip and tear you apart. A new hit scanner to the battlefield is the heavy weapon guy, more commonly known as the chain gunner. Now, the shotgunners were terrifying enough, but these fellows bump up the anxiety levels when they are around, because they use the machine guns that can hit you from incredible distances and will not stop shooting you until you decide to give them a nice lead-based diet. And they happen to be in groups most of the time, so take cover and choose your openings well when firing back. Then your new projectile enemies start with the Arachnotron, which is just a smaller version of the Spider Mastermind and fires plasma rounds that hit hard but are dodgeable. I really like the sound they make when they go down. I need that as a ringtone. Then you have the Revenant, a tall skeletal figure that has homing projectiles that do a good job at homing in on you, but staying close to cover and corners helps make dealing with them much easier. Then you have the Mancubus, which is a large chunk of mass made out of fat, muscle, and machine. It's tanky and it hits like a tank, but has a massive hitbox. And with careful footwork, it can be taken down with little problem. You have the Hell Knight, which is just a reskin of the Baron of Hell, but weaker. Then the Archvile makes its appearance, and it only grows more terrifying the longer you let it live, because it can use a fire attack that it uses to blind you, and then it explodes on you. And it hits hard, and I mean very hard. But if you leave it alone, it will start reviving its fallen demon comrades. So when you see one of these, make it your #1 priority to take out. Then finally, we have to talk about the biggest pain in the ass in the game, the Pain Elemental. And no, that is not a name that was given to it to make it sound cool. They knew exactly what they were doing when they made this thing. This is basically a cacodemon that got its hands on the stuff under the bathroom sink and started living in the gas station dumpster. And what makes this demon so vile and hated is that it can do this. Yeah, it can spawn lost souls. Non-stop. Bloody hell, this thing made my playthrough so anxiety-fueled. Because one is bad enough, but you can come across rooms filled with these things. And you want to know something that makes it even more terrifying about it? They are part of the boss fight at the end of the game. This is the end boss, the Icon of Sin. Yes, it's just a wall, but not just any wall. A wall with a face on it that shoots projectiles and has a moat around it that does damage to you whenever you fall into it, and can spawn any demon in the game, including the Pain Elemental. A spawner that can spawn a spawner that spawns lost souls. Piss off whoever thought that was a good idea to add to the game. Luckily, you still have your trusty weapons from the last game that still hit hard and fast, except for the pistol, that is. The fists don't hit that hard either, but at least you can power that up with a berserk power up. But you do get one little extra weapon in this game, the super shotgun. Now, I made the mistake of confusing Doom 1's shotgun for this. Now, the shotgun is still decent. I did use it from time to time in my playthrough, but this is the manifestation of satisfaction. To give you an idea of how powerful it is, from what I have researched and heard about it, when all the pellets connect, it is more powerful than the rocket launcher so long as RNG is on your side, and it was on my side a lot of the time at close ranges. Now, some say it is overpowered, but they can shut the fuck up. In short, the super shotgun has a level of satisfaction that a girlfriend and/or boyfriend can never reach. Some will say my standards are too high now, but I say they're just right. Now, this game is one thing, and that is satisfying. Why is it so satisfying? It is a simple question, and yet the answer is also simple, because they got so much of it right when making this game. This is a game that can be picked up by someone who just wants casual gameplay, and it can be picked up by people who want very competitive gameplay to challenge themselves. I am more of a casual player in all honesty, which is why you won't see me doing any amazing trick shots or over-the-top tactics to get through the levels, but when I tried this set on ultraviolence and was getting my face caved in by the enemies, I was still satisfied. Enemy placement also plays a part in making the game enjoyable, because take a look at this shot here. It's a simple shot, but it explains a lot for the situation that I'm about to be in. If you look up here, you can see the Mancubus in the cage. Now, the Mancubus isn't going to be able to walk around me, but it will be able to shoot its projectiles at me. But then if I look here, I have a cyber demon that's slowly rising up from the floor. A very tanky, very hard-hitting character, and is one of the toughest in the game. I can tell the Mancubus is going to be used as a way to try to distract me from the cyber demon, because if I put all my focus on the cyber demon, I'm going to be hit by the Mancubus. Then I also have to watch out for the vice versa effect, because if I focus on the Mancubus trying to take it out, the cyber demon is going to chase after me and try to get me with its melee attacks and its projectile attack. So what do I do in this situation? Yeah, I just got the bloody hell out of there. And lastly, the smooth movement is addicting, and the art style still holds up to this day pretty well. With you traveling at high speeds, you are still able to tell where you are without losing a sense of direction. And the enemies are easy to spot and do not blend into the background. Unless it is a very dark area, but that's to be expected. And in massive groups, you can tell who is in that group and you know what you need to use in order to take them out. Their unique designs allow them to be memorable, and methods of attack force you to change up your tactics instead of just using the same way to take each one out, which would have made the game very boring. Now, as great as this game is, it is still not perfect. The main things that people hate about this game, and what I quickly and angrily grew to hate, was some of the poor level designs. Some maps are so big and can be a little confusing. They had to set up arrows in order to help the players figure out the map. Stuff like that, although helpful, does not help make the game better. If you have to do something like that, just redesign the level. Then you had the levels like Chasm with very, very narrow ledges. In a game where speed and movement is a major factor and one of the main attractions of the game, narrow ledges like this do not equal a great time. Especially when most of the attacks in the game have knockback and can force you into pits that chip away at your health. And here's a little reminder, some people played this game without the mouse, so you can imagine the level of frustration they had to go through. And that's really the only problems I had with the game. I highly recommend that you pick this game up and have fun with it. I played the GZ Doom version and had my settings set up to be more resembling of the classic playstyle. The game does have free mouse look, which helps make the game easier, especially battling the Icon of Sin. I didn't use it though. Get bent, you flat-faced piss stain. You can enter the no-clip cheat to find John Romero's head behind the wall and beat the level by taking him out that way, but I wasn't able to do that because for some reason whenever I try to enter cheats for that, it wouldn't let me use the cheats and I have no idea why. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you have a good day.